Every day is the Rangers Journal Day.
Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rangers Journal. It's Thursday, the 13th of March, and we have a big game afoot, a huge game, a potentially pivotal game in our season, and in what has been pretty turgid at times and pretty difficult. But we have a ray of light this evening. And speaking of rays of light, I'm joined by my colleague Jock. How are you, pal?
I'm not too bad, Ross. I wanted to say I'm a ray of light, but I'll take it.
So look, let's get straight into it. There's so much to digest and I guess unpick before this game tonight. Firstly, it would be good to get your thoughts on, I guess, the away leg, away in Fenerbahçe, away in Istanbul. What have you taken away from that game now you've had time to kind of digest it?
Just to think that, if the team gets a system that works for them and plays to their strengths, they can play football. And they can get results like that. And what we served up last week was perfect to counter and force them back, hit them on the counter attack, and that's what we did. A couple of really thinly drawn VAR lines, cost us our couple of goals there. The result could have been put out. The tie could have been done in the first leg, and it's not often Rangers and knockout football, European football, go somewhere with that and put in a performance like that. Granted, over the years we've sort of dug in and we've dug out results, maybe 1-1s and draws, but over the last couple of years, this team and the mentality that this Rangers squad seems to have in Europe seems to be getting these magnificent results. And last week was another one, so hoping for another one tonight, obviously. Yeah,
you mentioned mentality there, and I guess this Rangers team, it's obviously a very different team to the team that got us through to Seville those years ago. But what is it about, I guess, is it the fact that this is all we've got to play for and we can kind of, the shackles are off somewhat from the challenges of the SPL? What do you think?
It's a tough one. It's yes and no, kind of, because I remember years ago, Ryan Kent said that whenever it came to the European side, they played, they said themselves, they played with a bit more freedom and there was less pressure in those kind of games, and maybe that's why they thrive. And look how far that took them. We got to a European final with it. It's never something I thought I'd see in my lifetime, was 2 European finals. So I'm not sure. Maybe just the way the team's set up different. And European football is totally different to the physical side of the Scottish Premier League. There's more space. People give you more space and give you a bit more respect in terms of, like, we're going to play our way, you'll play your way, and it's a level playing field. I mean, that pitch last week for Fenerbahçe was massive, so there's so much space to be able to exploit, and we did that. And they had a game plan which they executed perfectly. It's totally different when you're playing Scottish Premier League and you're at home, or you're at a farmer's field essentially, and maybe like Perth or Motherwell or somewhere over the years, where they sit and dig in and they make it tough, and some of the players just don't seem to cope with that. Whereas European football, they just seem to come alive, really, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fair to say that we surprised Fenerbahçe. I think a lot of people had probably thought this was the end of the road for us in Europe. But look, the war of words, the media has been in a frenzy this week talking about the fantastic result that we got away from home. Jose Mourinho said, Rangers are not a better team than us, and I think we have a chance of qualifying. It's not that I'm hurt or that I want revenge or that we have to go and show we are better. It's nothing about that. It's just the fact. I honestly think we are better. Look, if you're Barry Ferguson and you're hearing that, what do you do with that? How do you process that? And do you use that in the dressing room before the game?
Oh, 100%. So it's been documented over the years when somebody says something in the press that maybe Walter Smith or somebody that ilk has went and grabbed the paper and put it up in the training room wall, or the dressing room, that sort of mentality, builder is great. And Mourinho being Mourinho, he's master. This is his sort of dark arts off the pitch that he's done in the Premier League, Italian League, Spanish League, now he's in Turkish League, and he's been doing it for a year and a half now. So it's no no surprise he's come out with this sort of negative thing about Rangers playing at home. He's trying to obviously get under the players' skin and make the fans doubt the team. But not happen tonight. I think Barry will know what to say to them to get them to see past that.
Yeah, let's hope so. For those that are just joining us, thank you. This is the Rangers Journal, the preview of the Fenerbahçe game this evening. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Off to the Match I Go, who produce really high quality merchandise. So if you scan that QR code and use the discount code Journal10, you'll get 10% off all your orders. So give those guys a check out. Also, great to have loads of people in the chat. Keep your comments coming in. It'd be great to get score predictions and whether or not we can make it through to the next round, the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Jock, I wanted to get into, I guess, the team for this evening. Look, we set up in a way that we haven't actually set up really in Europe, more like a kind of old Walter Smith-esque setup. So I don't know if Barry has kind of taken on board the way that potentially we had success in Europe before. There's probably two trains of thought going into this one. Either we go and try and kill it early with an early goal, or we set up, allow them to come at us, be patient and resilient, and try and hit them on the counter. Where's your head at?
Yeah, I don't. They're being the away team. They're going to set up. You typically expect them to set up a wee bit more defensively, but they're not going to do that because they're chasing the game, aren't they? They're chasing goals. So you imagine they're going to come out and come at us. So I would just do exactly what we did last week, but I would imagine Mourinho's probably thinking that's probably what we're going to do. So you maybe change something or tweak something. It'd be interesting to see. But for me personally, I would just play the same team we played last week. Then they got the job done. They know the structure. They know the routine. I see somebody in the comments saying they hunted in packs. You're right, and players like Raskin and Diomande and Barron going into tackles early on, setting the pace, setting the tone of the game, gets the crowd on side, and that's what you want. You want, if it's not going to be from early chances or an early goal, it's going to be from hitting tackles, winning challenges, and spreading passes about that's going to get the crowd on board early, and that's all you can really ask for. So I think personally, I would keep it the same because it'll combat the formation that they were using last week.
Yeah. I think it seemed as though towards the end of the game, maybe we were tiring slightly. We obviously had that 2-goal advantage, but they seemed to be getting quite a lot of balls into the box. Now, that seemed to be coming through Alan San-Maximin, who obviously has been left out. I'm not sure if you've seen the comments from Jose Mourinho, but San-Maximin had put something online, something about an elevator carrying lies, and once you're in the elevator, you start believing the lies. And to which Jose, the wordsmith, came out and says, if you're overweight and you can't play, then you need an elevator. So I think that probably shows the sort of man that Jose is. But how big a miss do you think San-Maximin will be for Fenerbahçe?
I used to love watching the Premier League in that Newcastle team because his pace was frightening. Granted, he didn't always have an end product, but the pace basically carried him over that, and sort of you seen past that because he caused havoc. He also reminds me of the other guy. Who's the guy that maybe the big arms that they grease up? He's at Fulham.
Yeah. Traore.
Kind of remember him, but I thought he was maybe slightly better because he maybe would have contributed more with goals. But Dujon came on last week and did quite a decent job on him. I thought that he kind of nullified them a bit, which obviously helped us. But I agree with you said that last week we were tired, but that was always going to be the case. We can't run that output for so long in a match and not expect it for players to start slowing up. So if we can keep him, well, he didn't travel, didn't he? That's right. Maximin didn't travel. So I think from what I was reading online there, they've got a couple of players back that we obviously didn't play last week. There's one fella I think's quite highly rated. He's got pace to burn from what I was reading. I can't remember his name now. And then I see Fred, ex-Man United. Yeah. Fred's back as well. So there's quality and experience coming back into that team, which we'll obviously have to cater for. But I say that if the atmosphere's right and the players all band together and work together, I don't see us having too much issues because we've got plenty of goals to work with.
Yeah. And look, we're going in with a 2-goal head start, so that means something, doesn't it? Right? We're in the driving seat. You've got to think that way, but be very conscious of what they possess. And how out of curiosity, Jock, we've struggled at Ibrox recently, which we haven't done for many years, right? I think it's safe to say that we've always struggled away from home in the league of recent years, and Ibrox has been sort of quite a formidable fortress for us. What happens if we go 1 goal down or even 2 goals down?
It's not something that I'd say we're not used to really. We've been in that position before, and I said that last week whenever we scored and they hit back,
Yep.
quite quickly. I was like, they've been in this position before, and I wasn't worried at all actually whenever they scored straight away. Well, not straight away, but quite close after it. It kind of remembered me of the Betis game. I was like, this is going to go tit for tat here. But obviously, we ended up, increasing the lead and sitting at the 3-1. I think European nights at Ibrox, now European crowd's different. I think that the crowd's got a bit more respect for the opposition because it's not what we should be beating at Ibrox. So I think the crowd will be behind them and I'll back them. Even if we go 1 down or we go 2 down, because at that point the crowd will need to be the 12th man to get the ball, suck the ball into the net, as they say, and get us through it, because the players will feed off that. They always do. And it's Thursday night, it's Ibrox, it's under the lights, the back cam's there. It's going to be, the place will be bouncing.
Oh, it will, for sure. I've got a question here from Paul, and it probably leads me on to my next question. So Paul's asked a question: Ridvan or Yefte for left back? I'm actually not going to ask you for your full team, so please do go into that. Just as a reminder for those at home and watching, last week we set up with Butland, Tavernier, Suter, Proper, and I think we had Yefte at left back, or a sort of roaming left back, and Yilmaz was playing right back, so it was kind of a 5 in defence, and then either Jefte or Tavernier, Yilmaz pushed on. Midfield then of Raskin, Barron, and Diamonde, with Dessers and sort of Cherney just dropping in the hole behind, as we saw a few moments of success from that. Would you set up the exact same?
I'd set up the exact same. I think if Balogun's able to play the full match, I'd swap Balogun for Proper. Balogun was colossal whenever he came on last week.
Yeah,
dominated the air, dominated the box. I think he would be a better leader inside that 3 than Proper would be. Although, granted, Proper's European side's been fine. I haven't really had any issues with Proper when he's been playing European games. But just the way Balogun led the team and led himself when he came on last week, ideally he's starting for me, but I wouldn't change anything else. Ridvan seems to be doing okay in the European games in that position. He's nimble, he gets forward, he does the nitty-gritty as well. And Yefte, I think, probably suits that position more than being in steady left back. I think that in between where he can run the channels, but he can come back when he needs to. I think that suits him better, to be honest. Yeah. And I think that 3-5-2 could be something we can maybe use going forward in the league as well. It's just something different.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. For those that don't know, our potential opponents, if we are successful, will be either Atletico Bilbao or AS Roma. The result from the first leg was 2-1 to Roma. Hummels has been sent off after 11 minutes for Roma, and it's now 1-0 to Bilbao. So that game is in the balance. So either of those would be a tasty tie. And I'll come on to ask in a few minutes who you'd like to get, but maybe we shouldn't actually. We shouldn't be looking that far ahead. Speaking about looking ahead, look, just regardless of what happens, we've obviously got a huge game on Sunday. Also, it might not be playing for much, but there is more than just a result when the Old Firm clash, and it means a lot more. Would you be at all, if you got to the 65th, 70th minute, score is as it is, 3-1 Rangers? Would you be having a think, if you were Barry Ferguson, about resting your Cherneys or your Dessers?
Probably.
You reckon?
Well, you say there's no, they say dead rubber as the sort of the game type really, but I don't see Ferguson. Ferguson will want to be going into that game with his strongest team possible. He's played under Walter Smith, so he'll have a few his insights and sort of game management things that they've picked up from him, and I think he'll speak to the coaching team as well. They'll, depending on the situation, hopefully, if guys is fit and they're happy to stay on, they'll stay on. The players will know themselves. The players these days usually moan to get off if things is going well. So okay, we'll soon see. To be fair, I'm not thinking about Sunday. The focus is on tonight, and I'm sure Barry will be sitting saying the same thing. He'll just be concentrating on tonight and not worrying about Sunday at all, unless things happen in the game that could maybe force that and gives them the ability to think towards Sunday. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I thought there was a few players that really stood out for me in that first game. I thought Barron was fantastic. Balogun, you mentioned. I thought Cherney obviously popping up with 2 goals. There's been a few bit of conversation in since that game about his, I guess, the unlikelihood that he'll be back with us next season. So we've just got to enjoy him. But I wanted to get your thoughts on James Tavernier, which I know is very divisive amongst the Rangers fan base, but I thought he put in a real shift. And I thought he was a real leader at that sort of right of the 3 centre backs. What did you make of Tav there?
Yeah, he played well. And when Tavernier plays well, Rangers usually do well. It's always the case because he'll pop up with assists or he'll contribute in the games. And it's something that I think we've probably missed this season is some more Tavernier assists and penalties, because Tavernier, he always contributes in some way or another. I'm hoping he has another good game tonight, because he seems to be doing okay in that right centre back position, which is something I never thought I would see. But here we are, when the injuries that happened, when Clement was here, we kind of got forced into that position. But being like any Rangers captain, you'll play anywhere in that team. You know what I mean? You'll just do what you can for the team and for the fans. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Billy, great to have you on. Conscious
Thanks.
that we moved the time around a little bit, but good to have you on, pal. How are you?
Good, yeah. I haven't even seen the team lines yet. I was having a look when I came in. Are they out?
No, not yet. No, we're just. They should be coming out in any time now. But look, it would be, first of all, good to get your thoughts, Billy, on, I guess, the performance last week. And I guess, how confident can we be going into this home tie?
Well, I mean, performance last week was just, should have been 5-1. So you couldn't, away in Turkey, it's dreamland stuff. Tonight is going to be fascinating, because like, if you're Mourinho, you're trying to jolt Rangers into the trauma state of the last 2 home games. You want to get like an early goal and have it in the players' minds that, they've been 2 goals down in no time at Ibrox the last couple of home matches. That's why I think, I'd be surprised if Barry doesn't go for just a standard at home, get the fans up and kind of go for them, because I think if we do anything other than have a big European night at Ibrox, you're inviting them to creep into the game. We go a goal down and start to get nervous. That's just a recipe for disaster. I think if we go at them, I can't see us, if we play a standard sort of game in Europe, I can't see us losing by 2 goals tonight, unless we're hesitant and caught between 2 stools.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. And there was a lot of conversation midweek about, and I think this is probably Barry leaning on his playing career, about the dark arts, Billy. And what do you think that means tonight?
I mean, I wish you hadn't said that, to be honest, because I can't help but wonder if referees sometimes look at the pre-match interviews. Definitely. That seemed a bit naive. I can't imagine Jose Mourinho going, we're going to do the dark arts tonight. I mean, I'm not sure what he means by that, actually, because time wasting, that's not really going to, the fans aren't going to love that. To me, dark arts in Scottish football are time wasting and doing that thing where you run about kicking lumps out of us and then drop like a sack of spuds anytime someone touches you in the back. So I don't know that, I'm not sure our fans love seeing that kind of thing. So dark arts in terms of, maybe winding people up, a bit of chat, slowing the game down when you get a chance. But I don't think it plays to our strengths to kind of try and break it up too much, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. Jock, I'm sure you've played in a few Sunday League games in your time and understand the nuances of the dark arts. Billy makes a good point. Was it the right thing to say from Barry Ferguson? Maybe a bit of naivety from a managerial point of view. But how crucial is game management tonight?
Oh, massive. Because you see, we've seen it plenty of times before. This Rangers team does have the ability to chuck the ball in the net themselves whenever they don't concentrate. And it's not, again, I always say this, it's not just one person's individual error, it's a catalogue. There's 1, 2, 3 errors leading up to it. Simple, basic stuff that these players just seem to forget sometimes. So that game management side is crucial, especially at this stage now. They're at this stage of the Europa League. You're playing against quality opposition where you have to be on it constantly. And like the dark art thing that's a Mourinho thing all over, isn't it? You've seen that. I said earlier, you've seen it in every league he's played in. Sure, you've seen it. He told, was it Moramos or Xabi Alonso? He told me to go and get booked so they could be fresh at suspension for the next rounds and stuff. So I'm not sure Mourinho hasn't thought of any scenario for this match where there's not something going on, or he's told somebody to do something. I think maybe that's what Ferguson's comments was maybe about. It was maybe a wee sort of jibe back at him for what he said in the first match. I don't know.
Yeah, I think James has got this nailed on here. I think whilst it was just answering a question, I think the question was about the dark arts, and he kind of responded. He had to respond to it. I think maybe Barry's naivety and sort of taking the bait from the press was there for all to see. Billy, I've got a few comments here talking about Jack Butland. Fair to say he's been off the boil. I think he's probably had an underperforming season compared to his kind of breakthrough season. How important was he firstly in that away leg, and how important will he be tonight? Because there's no doubt they'll get some chances.
I mean, I thought if it had been a domestic game before we played last week, I think they should have been dropped. I think bringing in Liam Kelly, because he's been minus a goal almost for like 4 or 5 games. So had it not been a big European night, I would have dropped him. That said, he was kind of vital. The saves he made were top class. I'm not sure Liam Kelly's making those saves. And inadvertently, he forced us to bring on Balogun, who had a cracking game. So as it happens, putting the nut in Big Proper, which I thought was Butland's fault all day long. I know Proper let the ball bounce and everything, but he shut his eyes and nutted them. And I was amazed to see Proper get up and walk off.
Yeah.
He's had a bit of grief about not being physical, but when you saw him getting hit and his legs are flying out like he's been clotheslined and he's been headed in the
arms
face,
in the air as well, yeah.
Oh, it was a proper, and you see him holding his head and making sure he's not moving his neck. You're properly worried. I would have said Jack Butland after last week, you're happy to see him back in, but he's still got a wreck in him. He's taken out his centre half, he's given away penalties, he's fumbling, trundler. So I hope he is one of those games where he starts off with maybe getting a couple of saves under his belt, a bit of confidence, and has a good game. But I mean, I think everybody knows just now he's not the guy who instills absolute confidence now. He's a guy who can pull off a worldie, but also fumble something straightforward, so that there is a bit of nervousness. But I think it's right to have him back in tonight, definitely.
Yeah, you're right. He made some great saves, and look, that'll do his confidence a world of good. I think it's fair to say that he's probably taken a brunt for a lot of the team's performances and through his own individual mistakes. But collectively, I hope that result gives us a lot of confidence going into tonight. Jock, keen to understand who you think our kind of key man for this evening is.
I'd say probably Butland and Dessers. Up on both ends of the pitch, really. You're hoping Butland has a quiet night, doesn't have to do too much. Granted, he made a good couple of saves last week. Plus, he also nutted. You're talking about nothing proper. But then Dessers had a great game last week as well, and arguably could have had a hat trick. So, I think we're looking for another similar performance from Dessers tonight, and then maybe somebody in the midfield, probably either Diomande, who He was brilliant last week as well. There was a lot of high praise from him from some of the Turkish pundits I was reading from him. So I think those are my three I'll pick.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. Some really key players, and we need big performances from them. Billy, be good to get your thoughts who the key men for us this evening are.
I mean, it's funny, difficult to disagree with Jog, but actually I got a wee bit of a shiver there when I suddenly went, oh, it is Butland and Dessers, because they can both be world class and they can both be absolute like nonsense at the moment as well. Yeah. So Dessers is the one thing I will say about Dessers is his confidence is right up. So if I was betting which version of Dessers we were going to see tonight, it would be the Van Basten model, the hitting volleys over his shoulder and stuff like that. And I'm hoping that Butland's got that wee bit of sort of a lift from the last week's performance. I would have thought the two of them maybe you're talking about the midfield, like Raskin might. I could see him having a bit of work to get through. So I think Jose Mourinho is going to try something different. One of the things last week that really surprised me is if we had a manager who had a game like that and kept getting caught out at the back time and time again, would have been ranting about his in-game management, his inability to change it. So I can't help but think Mourinho, unless he's checked out in Fenerbahçe, he's going to want to make a point. He's going to spring something. And I've got just a feeling that Raskin could be quite key. I mean, obviously, Czerny's your guy if you're countering to kind of with a bit of pace. But I think the midfield could be quite interesting tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, some interesting battles. And obviously with Fred coming back as well, they're kind of
is he
pivotal
back?
Man. He's back. So that'll be interesting.
Right so
what's that? Sorry, John?
The lineups tonight just been announced.
The lineups are out. Right, talk us through them, pal.
Butland, Tav, Suter, Balogun, Yefte, Sterling, Raskin, Diomande, Barn, Czerny, and Dessers.
Right. Looks like a straight swap then. Yeah. Looks like a straight swap for Sterling and Yilmaz on that sort of right wing back position, which I think he had a good game, Billy, when he came on. Sterling, I thought he looked solid.
He did. It was Sam Maximin had come on for about half an hour and actually looked like he was causing us problems. They brought Sterling on and that settled that problem down. So I'm happy to see him in. And I wondered if this game had been a Big Phil Clement managing, I wondered if we'd have set up a wee bit like the last Celtic game where we let their centre-backs have it and then we try and sort of cut the flow to the likes of McGregor and sort of isolate their fulcrum, as it were. And I wonder if we'll try and do the same with Fred. I don't know. But I'm happy enough with that lineup. It looks like we can pose them a threat, but also we're not being cavalier. It gives us options to go up a gear if we need to find a goal. But I'm actually happy enough with that, to be honest. What about you guys?
Jock, over to you. How do you feel?
Yeah, no, I like you've got a right-footed player on the right side now, which kind of helps. That's the balance is there. I'm glad Balogun's there because to say he was closest when he came on the away leg. So I like you say, Billy, it's a pretty solid team with the ability to do the damage as well, which is obviously what we're wanting to do. So yeah, can't fault it at all.
Awesome stuff. I'm going to quickly whiz around you both and get some scoreline predictions. I'm going to put you on the spot. Billy, take it away.
I'm going to go 2-2. I feel like there'll be goals in it, and I feel like as long as we set up, not in a timid way, but in a this is Ibrox, sure, in our pitch sort of way, I think we'll get goals. I wouldn't surprise me to see a sneak a 2-1, but 2-2 wouldn't surprise me. And just one thing to crowbar in, which isn't score related, but maybe it's been covered. Don't know if you saw the display that the Fenerbahçe fans brought over for Christopher Potter. And it really struck me, what a lovely gesture, but also the absolutely toxic nature of Scottish football. You couldn't imagine opposition fans in Scotland doing something as decent as honouring like someone who's fallen on the other side, the most basic thing. And instead what we get in Scotland is people taunting us about the Ibrox disaster. And you get people coming over from Turkey who've just gone, you know what, that's a tragedy. And they've actually shown an awful lot of respect. And I think it says a lot of nice things about the Turkish people, but also I think it says an awful lot about Scottish football that would be unimaginable for I mean, maybe not for other clubs, but if it happened to Rangers, it would be unimaginable for other clubs to behave with that sort of decency. So I just needed to get that off my chest.
Yeah, thanks, Billy. It's a really great point, and I completely echo it. And look, on behalf of everyone at the Rangers Journal, our thoughts are with the family of Christopher Potter.
Absolutely.
Jock, scoreline prediction, please, pal.
I went for 2-2 as well. I think Dessers will get a goal, and I think Tav might get a cheeky penalty tonight.
Oh, that's very European run-esque, isn't it? A Tavernier penalty.
I feel like you
for what
get a
it's
better
worth,
than that.
I think it could come in. For what it's worth, I think it'll be. I'm going to say it's 3-1 to Rangers. I fancy that they are going to come out. I think they might nick a goal first, but then I think we'll score. I'll say Tav penalty, and then they'll come out again second half, and I think we'll chip them away, and Igaman will come on and score a couple at the end. So here's hoping, lads. Billy, Jock, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. I have to dash off now because I'm heading across with the North Yorkshire Loyal to watch the game, which I'm looking forward to. But remember, Thursday nights and every night are Rangers Journal nights.